We're gonna do some grilled stuff that you can do on your barbecue this summer. So we're gonna do a grilled flank steak. We're gonna make a chimichurri for the flank steak. We're gonna do some grilled cheese on the grill. We're also gonna make a potato salad. It's called a Russian potato salad, or in Spanish, ensaladilla rusa. It's very typical in Spanish-speaking countries, even though it's called a Russian potato salad. And so we're gonna start with making the chimichurri, which we're gonna marinate the steak with a little bit. And we're also going to put this on top of the steak at the end, and we're gonna serve it with the cheese. So what we have here is, we have a half a cup of chopped parsley. We have let me move the steak here so you can see it a little bit better. We have a quarter cup of cilantro. We have about 2 tablespoons of chopped red pepper, 2 tablespoons of chopped onion, 3 cloves of chopped garlic. We're also going to add a little bit of oregano, dried oregano, about a teaspoon or so, a little bit more. About a teaspoon or so of red pepper flakes, half a cup of olive oil. We're going to add about a splash of vinegar, but I have a little bit more just in case it needs a little bit more, and then some salt. And this will be the chimichurri, which is an herb type of dressing or sauce for meats, great with meats. So here we go. Really simple. We're just going to blend everything together. You don't really want to do this in a food processor because it'll turn into mush. You almost rather just chop everything by hand and then pour in the oil and the vinegar. So this is the half a cup of parsley chopped fine, quarter cup of cilantro. You don't have to add cilantro. I like cilantro because that's the way I make it. But traditionally in Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile, they won't add cilantro. The red pepper, the chopped onion, the chopped garlic, the dry oregano, the dried red pepper flakes. This will add a little bit of heat. We're gonna add a little bit of salt. We might have to adjust at the end. We're going to add the oil. We're going to incorporate it together. We might need to add a little bit of oil, more oil. It's a little bit dry. You want it to be not really wet, but not this dry. So I'm probably going to actually adjust and add another half a cup of olive oil. Originally put a half a cup, but I feel like it's too dry. So we're going to add about another half a cup, and then we'll adjust. So that's about another half a cup of oil. We're gonna add the vinegar to it now, and then we'll see if we need to add a little bit more liquid. So this is pretty much what you're looking for. See, it's still tight, but it's a little bit more on the wet side than the really tight dry side. If you want preference, you can always make it a little bit more wet, add a little bit more oil. Okay, so we're gonna set this aside. Actually, we're gonna add some to our flank, so it'll sit a little bit. So this is flank steak that I cut 4 ounces, and then I pounded it out. So again in Uruguay, Argentina, they would call this churrasco. You can use skirt steak, you can use hanger steak. I like to use flank steak. I just like cut it on a bias, like 4 ounces, and then I pound it out really thin, and it makes a really nice churrasco. So we're just gonna put a little bit of this on there. I also added a little bit of salt and pepper to this earlier. I'm just gonna rub it in there a little bit. Turn it over. We're not going to add too much, just enough so there's a little bit of oil when we cook it, a little bit extra flavor. We're going to add this after the fact as a condiment on top of the meat. So
that explains why you put it on the meat and not the meat onto it.
Yes, because I don't want it to be like really wet, and I want to reserve it because we're going to use it. The whole thing with chimichurri is that it's really more of a condiment than a marinade. You can marinate with it, but typically it's a condiment. Okay, so we're going to just let this sit on the side for a little bit. Okay, I'm going to change my gloves. The flank steak right now for the chimichurri and the potato salad. So like I said, it's 4 ounces of flank steak that I pounded out. And again, we're just going to cook it really nice and high and quickly. I'm going to cook it about medium rare. That's kind of how I like my meat. It's all preference. If you want a little bit more, you can cook a little bit more. I just put a little bit of the chimichurri on here. And then we'll start with the chimichurri. So we're going to cook this about checking the bottom. We're going to let the hash marks on the bottom mark a little bit, and we'll turn it. It's really, really thin, so it should cook really, really fast. About another 2 minutes and we'll turn it over.
What are you looking for when you do that?
Just a nice color on the opposite side. So what you'll see is, like, when you're cooking meat, you'll see it starts to puddle up a little bit. So when you see it puddle up, like this one's starting to puddle up, it's almost time for it to be turned around. When it's like this, it's not, you know. So I salted this a little bit already, but I'm going to add just a little bit more salt to it. I'm going to wait a second on that one. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to it. Silver. And that's it. Just got a really nice color. It's trying to get the right. We'll cook it for about another minute and a half, and then we're gonna let it rest for like 10 minutes or so. That we're gonna serve with the meat. You could do this on a pan, on the grill. I'm doing it on a burner, but you could definitely do it on your barbecue. You just want to make sure that the pan gets really hot because you want the outside of the cheese to sear off before it starts to like melt. So we just have this tossed in a little bit of oil, and the pan is smoking. We're going to put it down. I'm going to let it sear on one side, and then we'll flip it over.
It's a hot pan. You can hear it crackling.
Just gonna give it a second so it's nice and seared. We're gonna flip it over, and if you did this on a barbecue, you would flip it over, let it sear, close the cover of the barbecue so that it starts to melt a little bit. So yeah, it looks like we're getting so we're gonna turn it over. So slid a little bit, but what you want is that skirt to stay on top, just like that. We're gonna turn it down just a little bit.
You could flip it again though, couldn't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna flip it over. All right, beautiful. So this is how you want your cheese to look. So it's seared on the top. The pan is still smoking a little bit. You're gonna get this beautiful crust on top. Then we're just gonna turn it down just a little bit because we don't want it to burn. We're gonna let the cheese kind of just settle, get gooey and melty, and then we're gonna actually put the chimichurri on top of this as a condiment. Okay? So this is what you're looking for. We're gonna plate this up really quick. So we're just gonna take the cheese. We're just gonna cut it in half. So you can see it's nice and soft. It got that little crust. Put it on a plate. Nice piece of flank steak. Just gonna cut it. You can do whatever, you know. I'm just laying it out for you guys. And we're gonna do a nice scoop of potato salad. You can serve this with roasted peppers also, would be great. Salad. And that's it. It's a little barbecue dish. You can put some of the chimichurri all over the place. Definitely put it on the cheese. Really nice on the cheese. And then on the meat. It's a little summer barbecue.